You're listening to the Toolstation Western League podcast with Ian Knockholds and Tom Hiscott.
Welcome, listeners, to the latest episode of the Toolstation Western League podcast with me, Ian Knockholds, and I'm delighted to say I am joined, not on the phone this time, but in person by Tom Hiscott, the author of the Western League Bulletin. Hello, Tom, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Good to see you, and yeah, been a fast start to the season, so plenty to discuss.
Very much so. We are in the Royal Oak. We've had a change of venue from our normal haunt in the Ram just down the road, but we're here at the Royal Oak to discuss the fixtures predominantly that started on Saturday the 10th of August. We've got a couple of interviews, of course, as well to bring you over the course of this podcast. We will be hearing from the Exmouth Town manager, Kevin Hill, so he'll be telling us about another one of our league's new sides, and also we'll be hearing later in the podcast from Radstock Town manager, the manager of the Miners, Brett Partner, as well. He'll be on this week's edition as well. But we'll kick off not by talking about the fixtures on Saturday the 10th. Actually, we're going to go right back to the beginning of the week, not necessarily because we want to talk about the games that were played on Tuesday the 6th of August, but 3 games in the Premier Division, all with 3-figure games. The largest was Bridgewater against Cribs, 237. I mean, that's fantastic, isn't it, for the Western League? I mean,
yeah, looking at those numbers, 4 midweek games, including the Westbury game on Wednesday night, all upwards of 130. Peaking with the Bridgewater gate of 237, which, I don't know if it's early season. I don't know if it's the fact that they're obviously in the heart of the summer, but that is, brilliant to see. So hopefully that continues. And I mean, looking at the weekend, there was a fair few obviously cup games going on, but there were still some big crowds among the teams in our division. So fingers crossed that continues through the winter months.
Obviously, the Western League family's been missing. They've had withdrawal symptoms over the summer, as of course we have. Well, very much so. But it is great, isn't it, to see such great fixtures? And I think perhaps there's a lesson to be learnt here. It's because of course we're getting used now to the beginning of the English Football League season, the beginning of the Premier League season, and perhaps the fixture gods are telling us there that maybe there's particularly in the month of August. Hopefully, it will carry on for the rest of the season. But if there's an appetite for football, then the fans will go and watch it wherever it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everything comes together, doesn't it? If you can get things right, such as pricing and entertainment on a Saturday afternoon, then people are going to come and watch and trot out, and then probably head back and watch, as you say, Premier League matches on the telly. So it's a good package, and fingers crossed it continues.
If you play it, they will come. There you go. Now, we are going to kick things off for this week's podcast with the FA Cup extra preliminary round. There was a game on Friday the 9th of August, Plymouth Parkway. Of course, we expect an awful lot of them this season against Buckland. Disappointment for Buckland on the opening day of the season. I know that's a club with lofty ambitions. They travelled. It was a difficult visit to Plymouth Parkway. 181 saw this, and it was a tight affair, Tom.
It was, and 181 heading out into the wet night. It wasn't a particularly pleasant evening on Friday down in Devon, and it was Plymouth Parkway who came out with the win by the tightest of margins. It was a 1-0 victory for them, and the goal coming from Jack Calvert just before half time. He was played in by Adam Carter, and managed to finish off, and that was how it stayed. They kept a clean sheet in the second half, and it was Parkway who progressed 1-0.
And they take on Poulton Rovers of the Southern League in the next round, so that'll be an interesting one. I'm sure one we'll be talking about on the podcast. Now, we move on to the games that were played on Saturday the 10th of August, and of course plenty more extra preliminary round matches in the FA Cup. We're going to kick our coverage off this week at the Theatre of Cheese, where Cheddar, of course, a team, as we've said exhaustively last week on the podcast, that could well have been playing their football in the Premier Division this season against a team that's well established in that league, Bradford Town. Come on the Bobcats, and another 3-figure crowd of 157 saw this one, and it was another tight affair.
It really was, yeah. Obviously Cheddar, as you say, a team that probably wish they were playing in the Premier Division, and they got to take on one of those sides early in the season, and they gave their all. It was a goalless first half before Bradford completely shut out the cannon in the second half. Nikel Plummer scoring a hat-trick in 6 minutes, all within the first 15 minutes or so of the second half beginning. So a 3-0 lead for the away side, Plummer scoring a hat-trick. But the Cheesemen never laid down and fought back. Adam Jones scoring twice. Obviously another man who did well last season. Scoring twice, second pretty late on. Weren't quite able to force home an equaliser. And it was Bradford, the Bobcats, should you say, who held on and gained a 3-2 victory and progressed through to the next round.
Now, our next featured game is Exmouth Town. We had them on last week, didn't we, on the podcast? They're a new side to the Toolstation Western League. They won their opening game in the league, and then they were successful against Barnstable Town in the FA Cup. So they've had a very good start to life in the Western League.
Yeah, absolutely. 2 wins from 2 and taking on another Devon side in Barnstable and a mammoth crowd of 301. I don't know if that's anything to do with the away fans potentially coming, not too much of a distance, but if Exmouth are bringing those sort of numbers to the league, then that's fantastic. And it was a pair of first half goals for them from Aaron Denny and then Jordan Harris, which helped book their passage through to the next round, a 2-0 win over Barnstable. Exmouth
Town, I very nearly got them on last week, but I thought it was a great time to get on the league's new boys this week, and so I took this opportunity to get in touch with Kevin Hill, the Exmouth manager, and I started off by asking him about that monster crowd on Saturday, 301. Was it a help or was it a hindrance?
Oh, definitely a help, to be fair. I said it's been massive. Same as last year, we started getting crowds of decence of 200, 250s quite regularly towards the end of the season or the last after Christmas. And we do get a good following, to be fair. So, and like I say, we are a big town. I think we're the biggest town in Devon, actually. So, hence we hopefully get the support.
Well, you certainly did at the weekend. Now, Barnstable are a Southern League side. Is that where you'd like your side to be playing ultimately?
Yeah, of course, everyone does. Obviously, my ambition is to go as high as I can. Obviously, same as in football career, everyone wants to strive and go the highest they possibly can. If I could take Exmouth up there, brilliant, by all means. But the first and foremost interest, what we're trying to do is don't want to suddenly fast track everything or go wrong where we suddenly jump the league too quick and it all fails and all goes wrong. Like I said, we've got a nice following now with the club's running smoothly. But yes, we want to aim up to where they are, the next league up. Hopefully, in the next 5 years, we've got a little plan to be up there.
So that's a 5-year plan. So if you're not up there at the end of the season, that's not the end of the world for you.
Yeah, it's not that. But I said our chairman, he's ambitious. He would love to see us somewhere like where Tiverton are now and things out of the league again. But like I said, it's in 5 years or something like that. Got an ambition. So, but it's nice to have that, and like I said, strive for it. But first and foremost, the club's going to come first, and we're not going to do anything that jeopardises the club.
So, of course, that win against Barnstable, that was in the FA Cup, but you started life as a Western League side with a win against Bridport. That wasn't a bad way to kick things off for you this season.
No, obviously a brilliant win for us, really. It's just getting that first game out under your belt. I like saying winning 4-1. Yeah, I had a few people out, and I know Bridport have got new players coming in because I've done a lot of work on them before. I found out a few bits about them. Yes, they got a few new faces to the youngsters, but I said, look at their result in the week. They only lost 2-1 to Bitton on Saturday. And I was missing a few last week. Obviously, A-Side, he's one of the main strikers and that lot. He was missing along with Carl Rickards. It was nice to get that win against Bridport.
So, how was your pre-season? Was it everything you wanted it to be?
To be fair, it was a bit just when I actually. I said we had 1 or 2 teams pull out on us last minute. So the fixtures weren't the greatest fixtures, but like I say, a game's a game. You get a run out, and as long as the guys knew how we were playing and that lot, we were in training. Yeah, and everything was good.
Now, for the Exmouth fans, of course, listening to this, I'm sure they'll be particularly interested to hear about any new faces that you've added to your lineup. So, are there any names that we've got to look out for?
I've added 3 new faces. There is a couple that have signed on, but at the moment they're obviously playing other clubs. They want to come, but I want to be loyal to the players that got me up in the league. You know, I've been loyal to the players that got us up, but I have added 3 more. Obviously, two have gone, one retiring, that lot, you know, me stepping down. Someone's gone elsewhere, but yeah, I've added 3 more and I've had experience. Obviously, we were the best defence in the league last year in the Peninsula League, and everyone will think, oh, I don't need to strengthen there, but I have. I've gone and the Tiverton captain come available to me. I'm really good friends with him. It's Tom Gardner, and he's been excellent. As a big lad at the back, adds experience, well, talks So it was a great game, and they'll help the youngsters around them as well. So obviously, when he come available, I couldn't turn the likes of him down. And the same with Jamie Richards. He's a Tiverton lad, obviously at Buckland last year, but I get on really well with him. And I think by likes of me signing Tom Gardner, his mate, and a few others, it's alerted a few people how little strong side we got now coming along. So he's a welcome addition. He's right back, playing anywhere along the right, across the bottom line, midfield. And Adam Bilcott, very tidy player on the ball, comfortable in the centre of midfield. He's happy to spray it with either feet, left or right, wants the ball, so it gives me options in there as well again.
Now, the Western League's got a burgeoning contingent of Devon sides now. Does that make the prospect of you moving from the Peninsula into the Western League more appealing?
Yeah, of course it does. Obviously, where we're situated, we're almost in the middle. You know what I mean? It's only like an hour and a quarter to the furthest Bristol, an hour and 20, where you go down to your Hellstrooms, which is a 2-hour trip for us anyway last year. You're Falmouth, you're Bodmin, so it's no different than us going up to around the back of Cambridge and Bitton, you know what I mean? Takes us like an hour to get up to Gordon and less than that from where we are. That's ideal. So,
I mean, is it a prospect that you're relishing then, the challenge of taking on Western League opposition?
Yeah, it has been. I said Exmouth used to be there years ago. I think they dropped out about 40 years ago. But when I first started playing football for them, that's where I played in the Western League. There was Western League at the time. And I remember playing your Westbury's, your Warminsters, your Melkshims when I first started off. Of course, the Exmouth dropped out of it, but now they're back in it. Where they, to be fair, it's where they wanted to be in the last 4 or 5 years. Tried to get there.
Well, you're certainly here now, and looking forward to seeing how you get on. You've got Bitton up next. Now, undoubtedly, they're one of the pre-season favourites for promotion. That's going to be a great yardstick for you and your team, isn't it?
Yeah, it will be a great yardstick for our team. It's early doors and that, like, you don't know how it's going to go. That's why that Bridport game was massive. When I say massive, I didn't put any burden on the players, but me personally I knew what 2 league games we had next was Bitton away and Plymouth Parkway away. And then obviously now we've got Yate away in the cup, but obviously if we lose to Bridport at home, and then we've got 2 potential tough games away, you know what I mean, on the trot. Yes, get them over and done with to start with. Anybody can lose to them on the day, but if we turn up and we upset them, and then it might make people stand up and take note of us. I said, but saying that, we want to take 1 game at a time. It will be hard Saturday. Obviously, I might be out 1 or 2 players. I don't want to know one yet. So, one being the striker, which is a bit gutted about, but he'll be back for Wednesday. But he'll miss a bit of game. So, if you do your maths, you might be able to work out who it is. Alright, so yeah, he's missing Saturday. But no, but it's what it is. They've got a strong squad, you know what I mean? So, but if we got there, and if we can get something out of the game up there and get something out of Parkway, it'd be brilliant. A lot of people say that, how would you prefer? Would you get a point off Bit and a point off Parkway? I said that way you stay unbeaten. Or do you go up, would you rather win 1, lose 1? Obviously, looking on the, you'd rather win 1, lose 1, you get more points. But then, if you want that general feeling, of being unbeaten, you take 2 points. You know what I mean? The momentum carries in the team, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
No, but obviously we take it as a time and said, if we do go and get beat, I said to my management team, and that, like, we always talk about things like this, obviously not around the player, but potentially we've had a good start, we had a good end of last year. We could, and I've no doubt, we could potentially lose our next 3 games on the trot. But even more than that, you've got Bitton away, you've got Parkway away, you've got Yate away. That's 3 tough fixtures, but it's 3. This is why we wanted to go in the league, because we wanted to test ourselves.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So if we do come unstuck in them games, so what? It's really early doors. We've won the home game. At home we're a fortress. We're hard to beat at home. I know that. I'm confident in taking most teams on in our place at home. But yeah, let's see what we've got like going away, and I think the lads are enjoying new grounds and everything like that.
Kevin, one final question. Obviously, you know, we've said you're new to the Western League in terms of sort of this current incarnation of the side, and so there will be fans sort of for whom you are an unknown quantity, both yourself and the club. So I'm sure there's plenty of people listening to this who'll be looking forward to their trip to your ground. But yeah, could you tell us a little bit about your route to the Exmouth dugout?
Basically, obviously, when I come out of the footballing career, obviously coming down when I was getting too old to play, I was leaving obviously obviously Torquay, Dorchester, then Tiverton. Obviously get on, and obviously I live in Exmouth now, but I lived in Brunley Saltner before. I ended up playing for Exmouth. I think still late into my late 30s, early 40s. I'm 43 now, but I was still playing up to 2 years ago. I still play now. I'm signed on now, so I will still chuck myself in when needed. It ended up being, as obviously last year, my local team at the time was Brunley Saltner, and they were about to fold. And they had like 6 signed on because I lived right next door to the ground at the time, and I couldn't see them go bust. Of course, I was still a player at Exmouth, and they asked me, and I thought the last thing I wanted to see was my local team fold and go out. So I ended up going over, managing them for the first year. Obviously, yeah, tough on that. I think they finished second from bottom the year before, and then we ended up. I took them to third last year or the year before, and then obviously Exmouth come back in for me because I left Exmouth as a player. I was asked to come back in here, and obviously Exmouth finished fourth from bottom in that late season, and my first season of last year got promoted second. So done really well. So I've ended up coming across that way. So really, this is only my start of my third year of management.
And my thanks to Kevin for his time. Now moving on to the Stoke City, as they once were of the Western League, Brislington, of course. And we had a wry smile about them last week, didn't we, Tom, on the podcast? This week they were up against Premier League new boys, Keynsham Town, in the FA Cup extra preliminary round. Another 3-figure gate. This is another huge gate. Of course, it's a local derby for Brislington, and talk of their demise, I think, has been greatly exaggerated.
Absolutely. An impressive 1-0 win away at Keynsham, and they managed to hold out for the majority of the match. A 3rd-minute goal from Craig Parsons giving them the lead, pretty much the earliest possible moment, and they managed to hold firm. Keynsham were able to break them down, and it was Brislington who gained the bragging rights and gained the place in the next round. And
finally, our last featured game in the FA Cup extra preliminary round features Shepton Mallet. They were at home to last season's Cup specialists, Cadbury Heath. They had a very good run in the FA Vars and the Les Phillips Cup last season. How would they fare against Shepton Mallet this season?
Not too well, unfortunately for them. A 3-1 win for Shepton at home. Another 3-figure gate, which is excellent to see. And Shepton, I don't want to peak too soon. It's only the 12th of August as we speak here, but they're a team I've definitely got my eye on to start the season. And a 3-1 win for them, as I say. Goals from Craig Loxton, Asa White and Jack Fillingham. 3 players who, I've seen their names pop up every now and then. And I know Fillingham's looks like a pretty astute signing. And 3-1 win at home to Cadbury Heath. And that's hopefully a sign of things to come for Shepton. And they're through to the next round.
If you're thinking, Toolstation, I know they'll save me money, but do they have all the top brands? You know, DeWalt, Makita, Einhell, Stanley, Myra, Kudox, Nest and Santex. Yeah, they do. Over 15,000 trade quality products in the range from the leading brands with prices that are hard to beat. If you want a helping hand to save on your next job, try Toolstation. With over 300 branches, there's always a Toolstation near you.
Now moving on to the First Division, and we open our coverage of the First Division with the only 3-figure attendance at First Division level. Devizes Town took on Warminster Town. It was the El Multico.
Well, you're going to have to explain what the El Multico is for me, because I'm not local, and I know you were one of those in attendance. But it was Warminster who ran out 3-1 winners away at Devizes. Pretty entertaining affair from all accounts, and Warminster to join a plethora of sides who now have 3 points from 2 games. It's been an interesting start in the First Division, and it was goals for them from Jack Millock, Charlie Walton, and then debutant Francois Allen, handing them the victory. Devizes suffering a second defeat despite drawing level at the end of the first half through Jack Hopper, but it was Warminster who pushed on after the break and bagged all 3 points.
The El Multico comes from it's the Battle of the Breweries. Okay. So you've got a Wiltshire derby between Devizes and Warminster. What's the common factor? We've got to have a common factor here. And I've gone with the breweries. So we've got Warminster Maltings, who are behind Warminster Town Football Club. Now, in fairness, they make a lot of malt. I don't think that they make a great deal of beer, but they make products for beer. So you've got to give me a little bit of artistic license here. And of course, we've got Wadworths, the great Wiltshire powerhouse of brewing, across Wadworth Shire. Who have been long-time supporters of Devizes Town. So that's where El Multico was born. Of course, what's perhaps more interesting about this fixture is that last season Devizes thrashed Warminster at Nurstead Road. I would think you look over the course of the season last season. Well, very much so. You look over the course of the season, Warminster definitely having the better season than Devizes last term, but I think a number of circumstances compiled last season to put that Warminster side. It was a difficult game for them, but they made up for it. What was difficult for both sides, Tom, was the weather. Right. There was a very gusty wind, and we nearly saw some quite spectacular goals scored where the ball gets hoofed high into the Wiltshire air, and well, very much so, and it was all swirling around. It could have just nipped under the bar, and that didn't happen. Very good derby game. I think Warminster looked like the better side, but Devizes certainly huffed and puffed, and actually Warminster really only saw things out in the latter part of the second half, where they made their superior class tell. So a deserved 3 points, I think, for the Red and Blacks there. But as always, a good time had by all. It was a very good crowd, as we can see from the attendance, and a really nice day. I took my kids. They nearly behaved themselves. In fact, actually, I was very tempted to see if I could put in a claim for a £20 match fee, because I spent quite a lot of time fishing the ball out of the hedge behind one of the goals, which is the first time that's ever happened to me at Devizes. But no, a good time had by all, and great to see, of course, not only so many lovely people at the game, but also Roland Millard. He was there with his periscope, turned up in his black and red submarine, and him and Jamie House were doing the commentary. And well, frankly, for those of us who turned up to the match and were unable to watch any of it due to the wind, the rain, and two rather belligerent children, that was a great way to catch up. So a great day was had by all there. Now, of course, last week we had Aaron Wilson on, the manager of Lebec, and we were being promised good things from them. Our new boys in the First Division, they had their first home game in First Division. How did they get on?
Unfortunately, they fell to defeat, but they might have been taking on one of the better sides in the division, I think, in Calne. Stuart Windsor in particular looks like an early season favourite for potentially a golden boot this year. It's his second double of the season, and led them to a 3-0 victory. Calne, that is. He scored both of the goals in their victory last week, and then struck twice after the interval in this one as well, adding to a goal from Josh Hard. To maintain Calne's winning streak. So a defeat for Lebec, but a good win for Calne on Saturday afternoon.
Well, if Calne were one of the pre-season promotion favourites, then of course another side that we've got our eye on, again another Wiltshire side, Corsham Town. Now they travelled to Radstock Town, the miners, and we expect great things of Corsham, but perhaps we need to expect greater things of Radstock.
If you missed out on following this game or games on Saturday afternoon, then just came across results, I think this one would have obviously stood out like a sore thumb. Radstock running out 7-2 victors at home to Corsham. As you say, don't think many people would have predicted this coming into the season, and even if you'd asked them on at 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. A pair of draws between the two last year as well, so obviously not much between the sides 12 months ago, but it was the Miners who laid down an early season marker in this one. James Rustle bagging a hat-trick for the hosts. Also goals from Morgan Skip, Sam and Scott Gregory, and then Jack Biddiscombe as well. A pretty chastening afternoon for Corsham, I might expect. And Josh Brighton and Jamal Chevallot did manage to score in either half for them. But Radstock eventually running out 7-2 winners. And as I say, laying down an early marker. We'll see if they can back this up over the next couple of weeks.
I know you're an avid watcher of social media. Did you see James Rustle's goal on Twitter?
I have indeed. Yeah, that's the sort of thing that piques my interest. A bit of a rasper. I think there's been a few, one each weekend so far. That's really. So I can't remember. Who was it last week? There was a 40-yarder last week that was quite unbelievable, and we had another terrific effort this week. So if people can keep filming these clips and getting them in, it's certainly helps us out for certain people that can't get to matches. And obviously it was good to see that the talent is there, and obviously this is the First Division game as well, so I did see it, and it was rather terrific.
I mean, I'm reliably informed that there were 2 video cameras and 2 of very esteemed photographers. We should say award-winning photographers. Of course, we had John Newport at that game, and we also had John Cuthbertson. Very much so, very much so. For anybody who hasn't seen that goal, you really have to get on social media, and I'm sure Corsham and particularly Radstock will have retweeted it, so it's well worth having a look, not least for the commentary. Now, when I say commentary, you won't have to suffer me doing this, listeners, don't worry about that, but there is a wonderful moment where you can hear from the stand somebody telling Rustall, who is a good 40 yards away from the goal before he unleashes his effort, to shoot. And then literally about 2 seconds later you hear the words, "Don't let him shoot," and just as the ball is just careering straight into the top corner, it's got great comedic effect. It's a wonderful thing, it really is, to see. And I have a confession to make, because I went to the Radstock Family Fun Day on Sunday, which was of course the day after the game, and they were absolutely tickled pink by that result, as you'd expect them to be, because I think everybody's expecting Corsham to do well this season. I'm expecting Corsham to do well this season. I don't think that result necessarily changes that, because we've had a history in the First Division in particular of teams that have made a slow start to the campaign. I think Corsham had a bad day at the office, and it may well be that Radstock, it was one of those occasions where everything that they did turned to gold, and I sincerely hope for them, because they're wonderful people at Southfields Recreation Ground, that they do have a good season and things continue. What that result means for Radstock, we're yet to see, but of course, what a wonderful chance to catch up with the Redstock Town manager, Brett Partner. Had a difficult season last season. What a wonderful start to the new season he's had with that incredible victory. And I asked him whether that win over Corsham changes his expectations for this season.
Not really. Pre-season's always been working towards winning the league. I'm a manager who's very ambitious, and I've set my standards straight away. I've got players in who I feel needed to be in that team to win us the league. Got them in. Pre-season's been fantastic. Really high standard, taking some good teams apart. And now it's evidently showing in the game against Corsham. But again, it's only one game. So it's a long season. Anything can change, but my standards are we want to win the league, and it's always been from the first day. If you've asked any of the players, the first meeting we had was we are winning this league. So you've got to be on board and shape up or ship out, and they've all done fantastically. You know, we've got a squad of 22, and they're all very good 22 players, so it's a bit of a headache for me. But yeah, it's a very nice headache to have. Yeah, very good.
Now, really, I should have let you bask a little bit more in the result, because 7-2 is obviously a fantastic scoreline, and you're quite right, we can't get overly carried away, but there was a fantastic family fun day on Sunday, which I came up to with my little girl Betty, and there was a real buzz around the club. That result meant clearly so much to everybody involved with Redstock Town Football Club.
Last season, I came in halfway through, and I've said, right, we're changing the whole club. And ideally, obviously, from my point of view, the football side of it, want to have a philosophy and a branding of this is Radstock Football Club. Also, the other part is I want it to be a family club. I want everyone to know everyone. I want more of a crowd there each game, and like we do, like you said, you know, we got family things on, and I want all the players there. And I think 90% of the players were there, you know, either taking part in things or just mingling with the fans and supporters and people that come up and. You know, Radstock's a massive club, really. If you look at behind the scenes, people that do the bar's always open every day, really. At night, you know, we've got Skittles on, players go up just for drinks sometimes, and the main thing for me is to get Radstock to what it was years and years ago, because supporters tell me it's a family club, and when I first took over from Shane when he first left, it was very... you know, depleted. It was the fans weren't engaging with the players had no identity, there was no, you know, the results weren't going their way. So I was like, right, I need to put a stamp on what I want for the club. I told Simon, the chairman, what I wanted. He was fully backing me. So I brought in a playing squad for the end of the season, really, and especially this new season come on. And it's doing wonders, you know. We got people coming up to fun days and players coming up. We got supporters mingling with the players, and like you said, there's a massive buzz. Everyone had a smile on their face yesterday because they know all the hard work we've done from last season, and they've seen us in the pre-season. And now you start seeing the type of football we're playing, where, you know, and I've showed the stats to yourself, and it's fantastic type of football we're playing, and now we're trying to film games and show people what we're about, really. And what I didn't like was seeing on Twitter polls where writing us off straight away. Okay, that's actually made me more hungry to win this league, because people are writing us off already. No, not the ones that have seen us play and seen how the club is. It's a fantastic club, fantastic players we've got here, and we're trying to have a fantastic playing style. So I'm hoping by the end of the season we can keep that going and make it even better, and then take Radstock to the next level.
Well, let's talk a bit about that performance on Saturday. And in fact, actually, we can even turn back to the Cairn game. Now, of course, you were unsuccessful in the Cairn game, but just before we started this interview, we had a look at some of the statistics that you have produced of your matches, and they tell a different story, don't they? They tell a story about that style that you were talking about.
Well, like I said, the stats show a different thing, but at the end of the day, it's the end result. It's 2-0. You've seen it. It's 2 shots on target for them, 2 goals. We've had 7, 8 on target and 15 shots overall. It's just how the game goes. On the flip side of it, it was a sort of the same performance against Caution, but it was more you taking your chances. I said before the game, take your chances and you can batter teams, because you get the first goal, get the second goal quickly, and that's it. It's changed the game. We just, people that watched against Cairn, the first 20 minutes we were electric. Somehow the ball just didn't go in the back of the net, and the managers after the game said, and even he texted me yesterday actually saying, how you didn't beat us, it's still incredible, and it is, but it's a long season. It's a very hard way of playing my way, because it's a high pressing, possession, attacking, counter-attacking football, and it's a hard way to do it, and it's not a quick fix. It's not a quick, you can do it straight away. So it's taken half a season last year. But against Cairn, it was also a bit of a wake-up call. We can play that type of football, but you've got to be clinical, and you've got to have that winning mentality. You've got to have that hunger to score. And I was in the change room for about half an hour after the game, just really laying into him about, you can't miss chances, because, you can dominate the game, but you still lose 2-0. Stats mean nothing if you lose 2-0, and it's great to have the stats and look at the games back, but you've got to put the ball back in there. And my forwards, I said, I shaked it up a little bit against the Caution game, because I said, I will not play players on reputation. If you play well, you keep your shirt. And I'm sticking to that, because you got a great performance out of them, because there's some players, I said, you've got to have a good performance today. And there's players, I don't mind saying it, James Rustall, didn't have the greatest game. I had a chat with him. I know he's better than that. I said to him, you dropped, I want a reaction from you. He goes and scores a hat-trick and he comes on. So it's good in a way. Sometimes it doesn't work out that way, but it shows the mentality of the players. They're working really hard towards what I want, and they're buying into it, and it's shown in this game, and I'm hoping it shows in every other game we play. So
I know for people who've obviously watched a lot of Radstock over the years, and I appreciate the fact you came in halfway through last season, but Radstock have been a footballing side, certainly in the time that I've covered them, and I know that's very central to your philosophy, but they've also been an inconsistent side, and sometimes they've lost out in games where perhaps they needed to grind out a result. So do you feel that that's something that you can build on this season? Do you think you can get that consistency? Can you teach them how to win ugly 1-0 as well as this spectacular 7-2 result they had at the weekend?
Yeah, like I say, every game it's not as easy as it is. You've got to grind results out, and I think that comes from players' experience. If you put too many young players in there, they can't sometimes grind it out. So you've got to have a mixture of experience and young players. But I think this year's different from years, because again, I've played for Radstock, I've played for other teams as well. This Radstock team, it's very different to any Radstock team I've played. There's been some great Radstock teams I've played in, but there's never been an identity of, if something's not going right, what's our next plan B? At Radstock we've got plan A, plan B, plan C, different formations, different ways of playing. So if it's not going right, I always put 5 on the bench. Some managers put 3 on the bench because it's easy, don't let anyone down, because you can only play 3. 2 players get left out. But I always have scenarios of going, if we're winning the game, I've got defenders on the bench. If we're losing the game, I've got attackers on the bench. I try and plan for all different scenarios. And I think the way of coaching and managing is changing. People say it's very dinosaur era of play your best players and that's it, and see what happens, because they haven't got a lot on the bench. For me, I tell my players, if you're on the bench, there's a reason why. Not because sometimes you're playing bad, actually, because I think I need you in the last 30 minutes of that game, because I know if they're tiring, I know you're a quality player, you can come on and change the game for me. Because I always say, it's not over 70 minutes you win a game, it's 90 minutes. You can score a goal in the last 92nd minute and win us the game. So I need players coming on, because you get some players that come on and don't do a lot because they're sulking, they've been on the bench. But you get some players who come on and have that like that second wave of buzz, you know, and they win you the game. And I try and balance that. But I think, you know, football's changed a lot, and at Radstock it has been very inconsistent. You know, not last year before that, you know, we were in a really good position of finishing top, and it was that season where it was really wet, and we had 3 games a week for the next 3 weeks. It's impossible to get a really fit team, everyone available for every game. So we started to drop off after that, even though we were playing really good football. But I think if we can keep everyone fit, have a big squad, which I keep saying to the boys, you know, if you're not playing, it's a long season. If you do well in cups as well, you're going to have a 60-game season, and everyone's not going to be available. It could be holidays, it could be injuries, it could be wherever it is. It'll even out, maybe everyone nearly playing sort of the same minutes because of that. You know, you might get the odd person who plays nearly every game. But Radstock, I'm trying to change it into a team where it's very consistent and a way of playing, and everyone knows what they're doing, you know, and changing the way of football in non-league in a way. You know, I think Corsham are doing it really well. Keynsham did it really well last season. Warminster, I think, are doing really well this season as well. And football's changing, and it's changing for the good. You know, it's not going to be inconsistent. You know as well as me, players at non-league level are very inconsistent. They go to different clubs. They've got holidays. They work, which is understandable. If you can keep a team, a good 20-man squad, who are committed and don't go on obviously holiday for the season and very lucky with injuries, you're going to do really well in the league. And I've said that to my players. So my players, they've given me all their holiday dates if they're going away. So I know beforehand, I know when he's going away, I need that person, that game, and so on. So it's just trying to organise it a bit better. And if you organise it behind the scenes, it's a bit more consistent on the pitch and in the club and so on like that, really.
There were a lot of familiar faces to me, in particular, in the Miners lineup on Saturday. And obviously, it's good to see the likes of Luke Ingram, James Rustall, Morgan Skip, and of course Jack Metcalf, obviously involved again this season. But for the fans listening to this, what new players have you been able to bring in the pre-season? What names are there to look out for?
Well, we've tried to keep most of the squad from last year, because I really do believe that they're a very good squad, and I've said that. We've lost a couple of players, but that's understandable. They've gone to a higher league, which is, I would never stop a player from going. If a bigger team comes in, I think they can really push on, I wouldn't stop them. You know, I'm always an honest manager. But there's some players we've brought in. We've got Scott Gregory. He used to play for us. He went to Longwell Green due to work, but he's come back. He's a really good centre-back. Again, he scored against Corsham. We've got a guy called LJ Watson, who's a holder midfielder, sweeps up fantastically, and just every pass is a forward pass, so it really counters really well. We've got Ryan Childs back, another local lad who used to play for Radstock. Again, he brings a wealth of experience with him, and again fits in with my philosophy. I've only picked players who would fit in my philosophy. If they're a long ball team or anything, you know, or a long ball player type, you know, and I don't want them. You know, if you need to play my way, or you're not playing for me, you know, regardless how good you are, if you can't play my way, I'm not having you in my team. And that's how ruthless I got to be, because I want to build a team that can play football. And I want to build local players as well. You know, I don't want to bring players from Bristol or you know, like some teams do, they throw money at people to come from far away. That's not really what I'm about. I want to build, like I say, a family club so we can get players. You know, we've got another player called Morgan Marsh who's come in. Used to play for Froome, played in America as well. Very, very good football player. But we've brought about 5 or 6, but there's some of the names in there, I've said, who are going to really change our team and add to the quality, because the quality there at the moment, you know, me and my assistant Nathan Farquharson, you know, we've both said it and gone, this is a very good team. And he's an ex-professional and he's played some good teams. And he said the buzz around this club, of how it is, and the players we've got, and we've seen them, you know, in pre-season. I try to get the players in as much as I can. 3 times a week we did it. We were training on a Tuesday night for 2 hours, Thursday night for 2 hours, and a Saturday for 2 hours. So that's 6 hours out of the whole week, just to one, put as many sessions on as I can, because some players can only maybe make one session a week. So I'd rather turn up one session than nothing. So I put on as much as I can. 2-hour sessions, and it's all technical, it's all ball work. You know, the first 2 weeks were a little bit of fitness, but you can't get away from that. But it was fitness with a ball as well. It was all conditioned, it was all like sports science, because Nath, he's got a qualification now, he takes them for all the sports science stuff, the conditioning. You know, we've got players there who came back overweight, they've lost a stone and a half. You know, and it's like we're doing something good for them as well, which is fantastic. And it helps us out as well, because we condition them well. It benefits the club, you know, because they're fitter, and they can play, they're faster and everything. So, yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's good. It's a lot of hard work we've done, and I'm hoping it'll show. But yeah, the players we brought in, it will really add to the quality.
Now, one final question. You've got Hengrove on Saturday, then Wells. These are two sides that they could do quite well this season, I think. How important are these early matches for you?
You've got to set the standard. You've got to get a winning mentality. And I've said that at the first 5 games, this is before the Cairn game, you've got to win them. You know, you've got to stamp out to everyone, we're here to win the league. You know, obviously Cairn didn't go so well, but, you know, Corsham really showed, because Corsham are a very good team. No, you know, regardless of the score, they are tipped to win the league. And yeah, we beat them 7-2, but don't take any respect away from them. They will still be up there. You know, obviously we've just taken our chances and we dominate possession and so on. So for us, it was a really good performance from us. But they will be up there. They're a very professional outfit. Wells and Hengrove, Hengrove have come down. Again, I need to do my research on them and see what type of players they've got, because I know they've lost quite a few players. But Wells what I know of anyway, talking to different managers and knowing the players, they've got quite a strong team. So I think Wales will probably be up there as well. You know, if you're going to win the league, you've got to try and win everything. And every game, regardless if halfway through the season, for example, if a team's at the bottom, you've got to have the same mentality as if you're playing a top team. You can't be complacent. I've hopefully been through the pre-season with my boys, and after the Corsham game, and actually realisation of actually we can play that way against a team that are tipped to win the league. So you can play. It's actually buying into it and going, actually have a bit of confidence in yourself as well. You can play that type of football. You can, you know, take your chances. You can do things that you might not have thought you could do. You know, and it's actually believing in yourself, really. And yeah, I'm confident every game, because I believe in my players, and so does Nath, and so does my backroom staff and the club. They believe these players can win most of the games we can. But again, you know what football's like. It's, you know, we thought we could beat Cairn, we lost 2-0.
And my thanks to Brett for his time. Now, finally, before we preview the matches coming up, we did have one extra preliminary round game in the FA Cup, a Sunday tie, Sunday the 11th of August, and Roman Glass travelled to Winslow United. How did they get on, Tom?
Completed an amazing win, a 3-2 victory for Roman Glass. 2 goals either side of the break from Ryan Radford, gave them a 2-1 advantage. Winslow then pulling a goal back with 20 minutes left, and the game was seemingly heading for a replay, but Roman Glass St George managed to sneak a late winner. It's Steve Fitzpatrick with a fantastic late goal, setting up another away tie at Didcot in the next round. And Roman Glass St George's first victory in the competition for 66 years, I think I read yesterday. So a fantastic result for the club, and congratulations to all of them.
Excellent stuff. Now, we have another FA Cup replay coming up this week on Tuesday the 13th of August. It's Cribbs against Wellington, but of course by the time you're listening to this podcast, that game will already have happened. The game that won't hopefully have happened is Cheddar. They are taking on Cairn Town in the First Division on Friday the 16th of August. That is a 7:45 kick-off. And of course those two sides they've had a great start to proceedings this season, and both sides very much in the shake-up for promotion in the First Division. So it'll be very interesting to see who comes out on top in that encounter. Now we will look ahead to preview some of our key games in both divisions on Saturday the 17th of August. Which game have you gone for, Tom?
In the Premier Division, I've plumped for Tavistock against Bradford. Obviously Bradford coming off a pretty good win in the Cup away at Cheddar. And Tavistock have made a fast start to life in the Western League. So for them to host Bradford it looks like a good test. Not generally going to say we'll find out if they're the real deal, but good test for both sides really. Bradford on their travels down to Devon, and Tavistock playing one of the proverbial big boys. So look forward to seeing how that one plays out.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. So much so that I've gone for almost the opposite of that fixture. A very well-established side, a side that we expect to go very well in the Premier Division. Bitton, they're at home to Exmouth Town, of course, another one of our new boys, but another team that started the league incredibly well, and one which many people who are watching the Western League will be keeping an eye on. So that game, Bitton against Exmouth Town, will be very interesting to see how that one pans out. Moving on to the First Division, Tom, and which game here tickles your fancy?
I've gone for Almondsbury against Portishead, both coming off victories in the league last weekend, each scoring 3 goals. So not too bad a form to head into this tie, and interesting to see how those two get on.
There is a wasp there. Go away. He's off, look, bless him. Right then, well, and my game in the First Division, I'm going to go for Corsham Town against Bishop's Lydia. Of course, Bishop's Lydia had that incredible 7-0 win on the first day of the season. Corsham Town on the wrong end of a 7-goal scoreline at the weekend, but I still think that they'll come good. Of course, we shouldn't forget just how well Keynsham did last season after a slow start, and I do think that Corsham may well repeat that pattern. We'll have to wait and see. Of course, football is a game of opinions, but it'll be interesting to see how Corsham do go, and I think that this game against Bishop's Lydia, a very good Bishop's Lydia side, and that will give us an indication just how well Corsham are going to go this season. Now, of course, as always, Tom, we have been reviewing your excellent bulletin. Where can the listeners find that?
That is on the website. It's on the homepage. There's a link. Takes you to the most recent bulletin, which is downloadable in Word and PDF format. And then it's also along the top. There's a tab on the homepage which takes you to that as well. So you can get hold of it there.
We could do a little bit of situations vacant this week, couldn't we? Because, of course, we used to, over previous seasons, we've talked to you about your column in the non-league paper, but there is a vacancy that perhaps some of the listeners might be interested in applying for.
Yeah, I believe they're still looking for a reporter to fill my role on Saturday afternoons. So that would be a couple hundred words they require for looking at the Premier Division games, which happen on Saturday afternoon. So if anyone is interested, there is information on the website and also in the bulletin. So please feel free to check that out, and hopefully we get someone to cover the league. Hopefully someone local. I think that's what we'd all want. So if anybody knows of anyone who might be interested, then please do get in touch.
Excellent, Tom. Thank you very much indeed for your time, and of course your excellent research as always for the podcast. And I look forward to catching up with you next week for the Tool Station Western League podcast.